让我们欢迎 Dr. Michiel Kolman.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for this invitation to speak here at the International Reading Education Forum 2021. I'm delighted to be here, and I prepared a slide deck to share with you. So what is the agenda for today? I will first do a personal introduction. Then let me quickly talk about my personal experience of the impact of teachers. Then kind of go a little bit deeper about the key issues that are facing us today. Then I'll move on to the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, to explain what they are, what are the impact on children. Then change gears, talk about reading, why is reading important? And then finally, I would like to kind of mention and address, so how can we kind of marry the SDGs to books? And that, of course, is the SDG Book Club. So who am I? I'm originally educated as an astronomer, so I studied stars and galaxies, and that's why you see a picture here of an observatory. I studied in my own country, the Netherlands, at Leiden University, and then in the US, in New York, at Columbia. I joined Elsevier in 1995, which is an academic publisher. And Elsevier allowed me to work in Amsterdam, where I was born and raised, but also in Tokyo and Frankfurt. I was very fortunate to be president of the International Publishers Association for 2 years. Today, I'm senior vice president at Elsevier. I'm also chair of the Inclusive Publishing and Literacy Committee of the IPA, and I'm vice chair of the Accessible Books Consortium at the World Intellectual Property Organization. And there we help to make books available for the blind. I have a personal connection to Taiwan. I'm married to a Taiwanese from Tainan, and you see here in the bottom right a picture from a couple of centuries ago when there was a Dutch fort in Tainan. And so I'm very happy to have that personal connection and also to visit your country many, many times and enjoy all the beauty, especially like visits on the East Coast. So, well, let me first start with sharing with you a story from my own past that really made an impact actually for the rest of my life. And it shows the importance of teachers. So when I was in Dutch school, of course, I had to learn my mother tongue, Dutch, both the language and the literature. And I really liked one Dutch author, and you see her here, Helle Haase. And I remember my teacher said, so why don't you go and interview her? And I was thinking, well, is that at all possible? But I thought, well, let's try. So I wrote the publisher who forwarded to the author. And one day I was doing my homework at home late in the evening. And I remember my mother called me and she said, oh, there's a phone call for you, Michiel. It's Helle Haase on the phone. And I was like, wow, this is like amazing. So I explained to her what I would like to do. And she invited me to her home in The Hague. And I went there with some fellow students. And that actually turned out a super interesting project, and we got a very good grade too. And here you see one of the bestsellers that she wrote, De Heren van de Thee, the gentlemen of the tea. It's about tea in Indonesia, or then parts of the Netherlands Indies during colonial days. And Helle Haase went on to win any literary award you can think of. And every time, she was on the news, I was thinking, oh, this is so amazing that I had this opportunity to spend an afternoon with her. And it will only happen because of the inspiration by my teacher. So this is the power of education, I would say. So let's look at the world today, what is facing us. And we live in a complex world where with lots of major challenges. So for instance, in Thailand, everybody's wearing face masks because we are unfortunately in a global pandemic. In the middle, you see the young kids with his fist raised. And so, of course, we also live in a world where there are lots of issues about race and ethnicity and discrimination. You see on the top right, the teacher. Education is now more important than ever, and it's kind of shifting. It's not only in-person physical education, but also online and virtual education. In the bottom left, you see this picture from India. And there the protesters are raising the issue of gender equality. Are there the same opportunities for girls as there are for boys, or men as there are for women? And then here in the middle at the bottom, the save the environment picture. I mean, what is more important, I think, for our future than the future of our planet? And of course, we are living in a period facing incredible climate change, and that of course we have to address. This we have to address not like at some point in the future, we have to address it now, and that's why we live in the decade of action. So what kind of action can we take? And that is where the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, come in. And I realize it sounds very complicated, and there are 17 of them. But let me slowly explain, what it all means. Essentially, they are a blueprint for a better and sustainable future for everybody, for all people, and for the planet we live on. And it comes with a strict deadline of 2030. Hence, we live in a decade of action. And they're also embraced in Taiwan. So here you see the SDGs in action in Taiwan. Now, what does it mean for children? And I found this very helpful to kind of zoom in what are the impact of the SDGs for children. So we want, of course, every child to survive and thrive. We want every child to learn. We want every child to live in a safe and clean environment. So how does that translate into the SDGs? And here, let me give you some examples. So every child should survive and thrive. That means there should not be any hunger in his or her life. So that is SDG number 2. Of course, we do not want children to grow up in poverty, SDG number 1. And we want them to grow up in an environment which is peaceful and there is justice, SDG number 16. So we want every child to learn, of course, and that immediately links to SDG number 4, the right and access to a quality education. We want girls to have the same opportunities as boys, SDG number 5, gender equality. And after they graduate from school, we want kids to have access to decent work and also to economic growth, SDG number 8. Of course, we want every child to live in a safe and clean environment. So that, of course, is around health. We want kids to have access to clean water and sanitation, SDG number 6. And as I mentioned before, we are worried about the future of the planet. So that is SDG number 13 around climate action. So I hope that these 3 examples kind of explain the impact of the SDGs on the world of children so that they can survive, thrive, learn, and live in a safe and clean environment. Now let's change gears and look at reading, and especially reading books. So why is it so important? So reading books is a skill that kind of enables all the other learning skills. It also is a way to kind of explore completely new interests. It makes you far more open-minded. It expands your horizon. It helps you with learning. It's kind of the basis for learning. Not many people know that, but if you read a book for 30 minutes per day, you can live longer, live almost 2 years longer. It's closely linked to career success. People that read a lot are also more successful in their careers. And we know that people that are high achievers, they're also really avid readers. And I'll now play a little movie so that you can also hear it from others. Great, very compelling, I would say, and quite some leaders of our world sharing the importance of reading. So how can we kind of marry this on one side, the importance of reading, and on the other side, the importance of the Sustainable Development Goals? And to bring those two worlds together, we launched the SDG Book Club, the Sustainable Development Book Club. So what is it? It's a book club aimed at children between the age of 6 and 12. And the books are all related to the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals. They have been carefully selected. And so there will be books linked to every single one of the 17 SDGs. The book club is available in the 6 UN languages like Arabic, Chinese, English, French, Russian, and Spanish. It covers both fiction and non-fiction. It's all the genres that help educate children around the SDGs. There's a selection committee that selects the long list and then the short list. And all the players in what I would call the book ecosystem are involved. The publishers, the authors, the librarians, the bookstores, the book fairs. But it was launched by the IPA, the International Publishers Association, together with the UN when I was president of the IPA. So we know we have 17 SDGs, there are 6 UN languages, there are around 5 books per language. We're talking about 400 or 500 books in this SDG book club. And now listen to Malala, the Nobel Prize winner, what she has to say about the SDG book club.
Books have always inspired me to think deeper, to think bigger, and I think we all should be reading more and more books every day to keep learning more and getting inspired and expand our knowledge. So I would encourage all of you to read.
Very well put by Malala. And so there are actually now new versions of the SDG book club. It was such a success that countries said, oh, I want my own book club. And so you see, for instance, here in the middle, in the bottom, this Bærekraft Biblioteket. That is the book club in Norwegian. So in Norway, they launched a Norwegian SDG book club. And what I really like there, it's completely integrated in the curriculum at school. So teachers, they get a package explaining these are the books, and that's how you can also teach around these books in your classes. You see, of course, the book club in simplified Chinese. And on the right, you see the book club in Portuguese, very important, not on Portugal or Brazil, but also countries across Africa. Now, on the top left, you see the African chapter of the book club, really tapping into this long tradition of storytelling in Africa. Of course, in Africa, people speak English and French and Portuguese, but the book club also covers the local languages like Swahili. So I'm very proud that the book club is such a success that it's being introduced in many different countries. And I know there are some discussions ongoing now in Taiwan to have the Taiwanese SDG book club in traditional Mandarin. So I look forward to seeing that. Here we have some examples from the Chinese language list. For instance, around gender inequality, The Secret of Kells and the Song of the Sea. You see here a book around zero hunger. How can kids kind of survive famine and then in the end have access to enough food? And of course, a good example of good health and well-being on the right. And I realize this is simplified Chinese, and I hope soon to see great examples in traditional Mandarin. Now, it's all about action here. So having the books is one thing, but reading them, of course, is far more important. And here you see some leading beautiful authors who are reading to kids from their books about the SDGs. Let me just add a few words about the importance of the SDG book club for also the parents and the teachers. Of course, the books are intended for the kids between the age of 6 and 12, but kids really need some guidance, and guidance can come easily from the teachers. And we see, for instance, for the other book clubs, and a good example is in Norway, there they integrated the SDG book club into the curriculum. So the teachers, they had access to short little movies explaining a specific sustainable development goals, for instance, about clean water and sanitation, or about the importance of education. And there were other educational aids. So the teachers could have and the books and movies and other educational aids to explain what the SDG books were all about. And of course, the parents take an important role as well. Kids don't only read in school. In fact, they spend lots of time learning and playing, and they don't have that much time of reading. The real reading comes at home in the evening and in the weekend. And so it's extremely important, I think, for parents to also fully realize how much they can contribute to the SDG Book Club by guiding their kids, their daughters, their sons, by reading these books, which are so, first of all, fun to read, but at the same time also broadening their horizon and giving them for the first time exposure to the Sustainable Development Goals. These SDGs are important for everybody on our planet, also everybody in Taiwan. They're important for the kind of society we live in, the kind of world we want to live in. They're important for the environment, they're important for the climate, they're important for many social issues around gender, around sanitation, about education, about peace and justice. All those issues are important for every society, and therefore also for Taiwan and all its citizens. And those citizens are also parents. So I cannot emphasize enough the importance of the SDG Book Club for both the parents and also the teachers. And also the publishing organizations and publishers, they can make a commitment to the SDGs by signing up for the SDG Publishers Compact. And I hope that the Commonwealth magazine will also do that, or other organizations across Taiwan. We now have 100 publishers sign up, including some of the largest publishers and publishing organizations. So, and I'm very happy that that went so fast. We launched the SDG Publishers Compact, the IPA in the UN, last year in October at the Frankfurt Book Fair. And we had not anticipated it would be such a success. So we already have 100 people organizations sign up, and we cannot wait to have an organization from Taiwan to sign up as well. So can I conclude? So first, I hope I really conveyed the importance of reading. If you read even for half an hour a day, you live 2 years longer. You are more successful in your career. You can expand your horizon. So, and it doesn't make any difference whether it's an e-book or a physical book. Reading books in any format is crucially important. Now, we also have seen that it's very important that we together address our future and fight for a sustainable future. That is what the SDGs do. And they have an immediate impact on the lives of children, on healthcare, on the world they live in, on the environment, on education, on fighting poverty, on access to food, etc., etc. And how can this reading and the SDGs come together? And that, of course, was the SDG Book Club, which is now such a success that it's available not only in the 6 UN official languages, but in many, many other languages. And we hope to see a Taiwanese one as well. I would like to leave you with a final note here. A child who reads will be an adult who thinks. And thank you so much for your attention. I really appreciate it. And I wish that your conference and forum is a great success. Thank you.